Welcome to the Ruby Shore Podcast, a Triple B production. Intro music provided by PremiumBeats.com. Starring Brant Beach, Blaine Beach, and Brighton Beach.
Thank you for joining us today for the Ruby Shores podcast. My name's Blaine Beach, joined as always by my two brothers, Brighton and Brant Beach. We look back on some of the movies that we watched growing up and review them based on several different factors, giving them scores and things like that, and comparing them through our rose-colored glasses. Today's episode is about the movie from 1998 called Small Soldiers. The synopsis is 15-year-old Alan Abernathy, the son of a toy store owner, tries out some new action figures, the Commando Elite versus the Gorgonites. But 3 months ago, a toy company believes it is onto something when it employs the latest government military technology in a series of action figures, enabling them to talk. They underestimate the power of a special microchip they've employed, however, as the two opposing sides of the toy line start thinking for themselves and engaging in real combat. The Commando Elite vow to wipe out the Gorgonites in a suburban battle. Alan and his neighbor, Christy Fimple, on whom he has a massive crush, with the help of the kind Gorgonites, must protect his home and family from the Commando Elite.
Is that the actual synopsis from IMDb?
There are several different synopses on IMDb. I am not joking.
That's definitely not what I took away from that.
Yeah, that's not what I took away from it either. It's definitely unique. No, the main one they have is when missile technology is used to enhance toy action figures, the toys soon begin to take their battle programming too seriously, which is as vague as it can get.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah, it could be the same exact synopsis as a movie we're going to do later called Toys.
Some of the movies.
I would say that Toys has a very different approach on that one, but
it's close.
Summing up Small Soldiers real quick in 4 words: G.I. Joe's Home Depot.
I got it in 5. Phil Fimple is his name.
Yeah.
He's a Fimple man.
Yeah.
He is a Fimple man. With Fimple tastes.
No, he is definitely does not have Fimple tastes. That is
not
for sure.
Not at all.
Apparently, he's the worst neighbor on the planet, judging by the reactions of his neighbors at the end of the film. But
yeah, well, we'll get into that. One of the first lines of the movie, they go into this great big elaborate discussion about global tech and all that other crap that they're working on, and there was one line that stuck out to me, and it's just like, I don't know why you would put this in a corporate response to companies that are being bought up by another company. It's, we're turning your swords into plowshares, which is a line from the Bible. It's like, that's what we're leading with? We're going with that.
I just thought it was interesting that we're leading what was originally pitched as like and then got turned supposedly part of the way through production. They had to change it to a kids movie, which is why we get a varying level of jokes through the whole thing. But we lead this thing with Jay Moore, Dennis Leary, and David Cross.
Yeah, David Cross playing the role of Irwin, Jay Moore playing the role of Larry, and Dennis Leary playing the role of Gil Mars, who is the CEO of this company who, and basically everything Dennis Leary plays has to play an asshole. So it's interesting. I mean, David Cross I mean, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love David Cross, and it just seems like he plays the same exact kind of character in everything he's in. But that's the same thing for Dennis Leary.
Yeah, I mean, Dennis Leary definitely peaked with Ref. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way.
Yeah. The Ref, that was his number one, I think. What was that? Yeah, we're losing you.
So Dennis Leary plays Dennis Leary in pretty much everything he's in. So
yes,
this is true. This is very true. So the next voice we hear, the next person we hear, besides the chick that comes up, who her last name is Kegel.
Yeah, I was about to say let's go ahead and talk about that real quick. Last name Kegel.
Yeah, let's just do that. And then, so the next person we hear is the voice of Major Chip Hazard, who is voiced by none other than Tommy Lee Jones.
Yes, the man, the myth, legend.
Yes,
they make mention at the end that the Gorgonites are all. It says it at the very, very end. The Gorgonites are voiced by Spinal Tap, and the I didn't catch the exact movie, but it's a war film that Tommy Lee Jones and all the guys voicing the Commandos are from.
Oh, I gotcha.
Had it written down, but I can't seem to find it.
We'll look into it here in a minute. So, in the number one, like the that whole opening segment sort of sets up the whole rest of the movie. He's just like, I want this in 3 months. And they're just like, oh, we can't do it in 3 months. No, we can do it in 3 months. Never mind. And then, of course, Jay Moyer, I don't know how to say his name.
We're gonna go with Moyer.
He went and looked up the chips through the new Globotech database and found that military grade one, which they bring it up several times in the movie, like they bring up their own plot point. Like, who the hell would order military munitions chips that can learn to put in a child's toy?
Yeah.
And then, of course, Dennis Leary says the line before all that. He's like, go ahead, they're only toys.
Yeah.
And that just sort of is like the whole...
Wink,
like
nudge, nudge.
Yeah, for the whole movie.
Well, we skip over a major Easter egg right at the beginning there when Miss Keeble gives them their passwords, and David Cross's is Gizmo, which this entire movie has a major Gremlins vibe, just in general.
Well, yeah.
But it is also the same director, is why that did this film.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, that
this one, I believe he did. I think he did the first one and the second one, but he may have just done the second Gremlins. But he definitely was involved with that. So, like, this whole movie is definitely a Gremlins style film. Even from the ending scene, you know what I mean? How everything ends up. It's pretty much all of our characters are now on the street, and this is what happens.
Yeah, I noticed that now that I'm looking back on it, you could definitely see parallels between the two movies where, everybody's sort of split up for specific parts of the movie, but then at the very end, everybody's together and they're trying to make things, like, get rid of everything. But then the good guys are saved, even though we wiped out the bad guys with something that would kill the good guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're far ahead of ourselves here. So let's talk about the beginning sequence when Alan's heading to the store, which this is going to happen a lot the more that we do these 90s movies. It's the 90s because he's riding a bicycle to work. So
I was going to point out the fact that it's the 90s by the fact that he also looks like Ryan from Warriors of Virtue. Baggy shirt, baggy shirt, bowl cut, baggy pants, backpack, bike, done. It's like a Gordon Ramsay demo.
We're also talking about a similarity in the fact that I can't really tell how old he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
he could be.
We know he's a
15
teen of some sort. Yeah, he's somewhere between 13 and 16. That's all I got. So, and then of course, teen angst is going to be teen angst is going to be teen angst, and that is how he stays for the rest of this film.
Yeah.
Just like Warriors of Virtue, he is an angsty nonsense kid the whole time.
Yeah. So, but mom, it's yeah. And I like the delivery truck driver. You might get his name.
Joe.
Joe is Dick Miller.
Dick Miller, yeah, he is a wonderful actor. I've seen him in several other things.
He was also
actually
in Gremlins.
Yeah, and he's also going to be he's in one of the ones that we're going to be doing later, the Burbs.
He is, isn't he?
He's the garbage man.
Yeah.
So we're
spoiler alert, we're doing the Burbs.
Yeah, spoiler. It says that he actually died this year, guys. He died January 30th.
That's sad.
At the age of 90.
He sure did.
Well, this movie is filled with that just because of Phil Hartman.
We're losing you.
Watching Phil Hartman is very depressing. How about that?
Yeah, that's a little better.
That's better.
Okay, it's like that with Phil Hartman too through the whole thing, because Phil Hartman is an amazing actor and lost him well before his time to go. So, and then even this movie at the very end again has a little homage to him because he passed away before the film was completely out. So,
yeah, I'm wanting to say this is his. This is the last movie that was on his the last thing he was in, just about. Yeah, it happened. We lost Jake again.
Or something like that he had voiced, but oh man, here's our problem. How's that?
Yeah, better.
Is that better, everybody?
Yeah.
We're having issues because it's, I'm in Florida, you guys are up there, and it is raining like crazy. We got a front coming in down here, and we're getting bad cell phone signal because of it.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. It can be cut. It's not that big a deal. Right. So
for edit?
And so. Yeah, so my favorite thing, with the line there, where he's talking to where the kid's like, you could just say it fell off the truck, and I wrote these are my two notes: fell off the truck in parentheses. That's stealing, brother.
Yeah,
that's theft.
I don't like your tone. It's too loud.
I don't like your tone. It's too loud.
Adult gives in to peer pressure.
Joe.
Also, the scene right after that, they mentioned two TV shows. They mentioned Family of Five,
yes,
and X-Files.
Yes, this is the 90s.
It is.
That's
90s.
what I was saying. It's if in case you weren't sure to begin with, it is the 90s.
Yeah. So they get Archer and Chip Hazard out of their boxes, which easiest to open boxes I've ever seen in my life when it comes to a toy. Even back in the 90s, they had
lipstick.
They had zip ties and everything on those things even back in the 90s. So, but my question is, why would they stop moving on their own when people are around? Because it's not like they have something in them that says don't move when there's a child around. It's part of the toy that you're supposed to.
That's something that kind of confused me through the whole movie. Rewatching it again, I was like, that doesn't really make any sense why they keep doing that, because it's not like any of their programming says, hey, you know what, people shouldn't know that you can talk and move. And that is always, because that was kind of the whole purpose of them being shipped and manufactured anyway, was for them to be as realistic and as lifelike as possible, even though they're a toy.
Yeah. So
Well, see, this just brings up the entire issue I had, the main issue I had with this movie when it's all said and done is like, I'm not sure that the people who made this movie really understood how microchips work.
Yeah.
I don't think so either. I think it was at that height of technology where everybody's starting to get everything going, everybody's starting to build their own computers and stuff, and they're just like, microchips, what are they used for? And somebody's just like, processing, and they're like, how does that work with this? And they're just
magical
like,
mysteries.
Hell if I know. They're like magnets. No one knows how they work.
And then somehow, magically, they can spawn other life.
Yeah.
We find that later.
Yeah, you plug that thing into one of those, plug that microchip into one of those big round discs with the electric going through it that were all the rage in the 90s, and apparently that allows you to put things in little dolls and make them work.
I think they call them kinetic lamps.
Yeah. So, but never mind servos or hydraulics to move anything, or anything. You need some sort of liquid to keep them moving so they don't seize up. You just plot point. So anyway,
and it's like another thing they keep saying is like, why would you put munitions chips in a child's toy? I'm like, why? Munitions chips aren't necessarily like a bad thing. That's just a type of chip. It's originally designed to fit on something that's munitions. It doesn't mean that it's meant to kill people.
I think
it's the thing that kills people.
I think that so had this movie been brought out maybe 3 or 4 years later, we would have replaced microchip with artificial intelligence, because I think that's kind of what they were trying to go for, was like an AI system. But it didn't really make sense in the 90s for it to be, these things have AI and continually get smarter. No, it's a chip that just continually gets smarter.
Well, and that's like the guy in the lab. What's his face? The creepy guy.
Yeah.
And basically everything who sneezes in his helmet.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I love that part. So the creepy guy he's just like, not artificial intelligence, actual intelligence. But no one knows what artificial intelligence is at that point. Yeah. No one knows that. And so it's kind of lost. That's why it wasn't. I mean, it won some awards, not like major awards, and it was really popular. It was a big selling thing for I don't remember what toy company it was that put out all of those. I don't know if it was Mattel or what, but they made bank on that stuff. But no one really knows what it is they're talking about at that point, and I don't know. I just don't understand it. And it's just like, you guys, just because it seems like it was written by a bunch of eggheads that know what it is, and then they have a hard time getting it across what it actually is.
That was something else too. Like Phil Hartman's character knew like a ridiculous amount of technology things, like in the way that some of the technology gets explained in the movie is almost like it's coming from somebody else and not necessarily how that character would actually explain something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's problematic. I'm going to be honest, because it's like, I understand, because originally, like I said, this movie was meant to be for like teens. That's why we get some of the, like the leave joke when they're making the Gwendy dolls come to life. And we get some of the other jokes about, just in general, like PG-13 level jokes. But then part of the way through, they're like, no, we're going to market this to kids. So this needs to be for kids. You need to get it down to a PG or lower. And then they had to like scramble to figure that out. And nobody was scrambling to make sure that the plot made sense.
True.
Well, and it still didn't clear PG. It's still PG-13.
And that's true. So.
Okay, so it looks like I answered my own question here. Why are they stopped moving on their own? Budget. That's why. CG ain't cheap in the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh,
for sure.
Let's talk about the CG for a second, because the CG was actually really good.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, it's not bad. I mean, it's noticeably CG, but there's a lot of the scenes. I'm thinking specifically the scene where he has Archer walk across the desk. The shading on the character looks dead on, looks very realistic, and looks really well done. And obviously, we have real life puppetry going on at the same time. And I think because they're toys and not like something real, it makes it easier to CG that and make it look good. But even despite all of that, it was very good. So that's something that surprised me because you think back on some of these movies and you're like, it can't look that good. And there are some of the maybe like the chase scenes and the fight scenes and stuff with some of the CG ones. Those are not very good.
Yeah.
But a lot of the scenes are actually still pretty good. So.
Well, my only criticism of him in that scene and the CG on that is the actor could have done a little bit better or they could have done better on the direction of what they gave him to watch, because it looks like he's watching a good foot above where the guy is actually standing. Yeah. So that kind of threw me off, but I'm like, all right.
Well, I mean, it's still nice, but one thing that I took, and I kept making note of this through the entire movie, and we really get a good dose of it right at the beginning, that I'd like to discuss momentarily, is how aggressive Alan's dad is. Like, he is an angry, aggressive man, and I understand that's part of his character, because the meditation stuff they're doing like right at the beginning when he's freaking out. I understand that, but man, is he angry and aggressive. Like, it just keeps coming up through the whole film, and he's just not... I found him very off-putting.
Yeah, didn't he threaten to cut something off of Phil Hartman? He's just like, hand me the saw and I'll take care of it. It's like, whoa, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then he says something about the tree being beautiful and that his dish is a monstrosity and wanting to have it removed. He's got so much... What did he say? You got us all living in a cancer bubble? And Phil Hartman's like, there have been no scientific studies to prove that is true. And he does not miss a beat either. It's just straight into it, like he has that argument prepared.
Well, and the whole thing is, I mean, with the whole back and forth and Dad's anger problems, this kid's been kicked out of school twice.
Right.
So and Dad acts like that. Why do you think he got kicked out of 2 schools?
Well, that was my thing. Is like, what's the home life like? That's how we're acting out. And then we see the dad, and I'm like, okay, I got it. So. Yep. Oh man, but yeah, that was my main thing that kept cropping up for me. Just like, man, this man's angry.
Well, to branch off of that, the first time we see Mom, she's in this crazy getup, and my question I have written down here: what the hell is Mom's job?
Flight attendant.
I think she's a realtor.
No, she's a flight attendant.
Did they say a flight attendant?
No, I'm pretty sure she is, though. I mean, that's the outfit.
Okay.
I mean,
so you're just like,
okay. If we're gonna go ahead at with this confident way as Brighton's going there, I'm confident that she is a clown clothes salesman. Okay.
Definitely flight attendant. It makes sense based on the outfit.
No. She works at like a Beef O'Brady's. That's why she's kind of dressed like a leprechaun to begin with.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Let's see if they have a. Hold on. Let's see.
We're looking this up.
now that we're on the subject, you all go ahead.
All right. Yeah,
let's Abernathy. Nothing.
Irene Abernathy. Nothing.
Nothing. Big fat donut.
Oh man. No, so another thing, that is kind of ridiculous. Around this time is we're also introduced to the fact that his dad has this toy shop that only sells like old school toys.
Did you know the place?
Yes, I did. I didn't write it down. What was it?
I wrote it down. Okay, this is the worst name for a child's toy store ever. It's called the Inner Child.
I believe that it's meant more adults to come in and buy stuff from their childhood. Did you find something, Brighton?
No, I was just saying that's kind of ironic.
Oh,
terrible name.
Well, and I'll also think back to our character that we're talking about. The owner is his dad, who is this angry man, and just is angry the whole time. And when so that plays into the whole meditation, inner peace thing that we're talking about. So this man obviously has had angry issues for a long time for that to be what's going on now.
Well, maybe his anger stems from his wife not being able to dress properly.
I still think she's probably like a real estate agent, and they have like uniform.
Concept.
You know what I mean? Like, have you seen that before, where it's like they all dress the same?
No.
What is? Where? As soon as you can provide me evidence, sir.
Yeah.
Where is the transcript, sir?
I looked everywhere. I looked on Wikipedia. I looked up WikiQuote. I looked everywhere. Hey, nothing. It's just like Irene Abernathy, and that's it. It's nothing. It doesn't elaborate.
You know what we do know about her though? She can play some tennis.
Yeah, she can. She needs some help. She needs some work on that backhand. A couple of those got in, but
she almost hit herself in the face a couple of times with a flaming tennis ball.
True. Anyway, so immediately after what the hell is mom's job, I wrote angst in big letters with 3 exclamation points, because he's like, I could go one day without disappointment or without doing things wrong, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, God, it's awful.
Yeah, that's just stupid.
Oh, okay. Brant, what was the program he was using to look up all the stuff on his computer?
Oh, that would be Encarta.
Encarta
is the keeper of Encarta.
The keeper of Encarta.
That voice is Joe Manganiello. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did know that.
Or Frank Land. Oh, I did that wrong. That's a completely wrong person. It is not Joe Manganiello. I apologize. That is Frank Langella. Sorry. Langella, maybe. It's tons of voices. But he's you've probably heard him in a ton of different things. And then speaking of the voice actors, the Wendy dolls, did you all catch who that was?
It's 2 people, actually.
Yes, it is. Did you catch who they were?
Christina Ricci and Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Absolutely. 2 big names during the 90s here. So, yep. I mean, they pulled some pretty all-star casting for some of this.
Yeah. I love that it's kind of got a Saturday Night Live tie-in along with Phil Hartman. They had Sherry O'Terry in there.
Oh, yeah. I wrote that down. I was like the other half of the cheerleading team, but I couldn't remember her name and I hadn't had a chance to look it up. But yeah. Sherry, she is, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and then, so that's after Dad stops by back at the store once the Commando Elite have officially destroyed Troglakhan, not to be confused with Kubla Khan. But
now,
it's
Cobra.
I happened to get on the trivia on IMDb and kind of looked up some of the Easter egg stuff. If you look at the boxes when he's like turning them over in his hands, like for Archer or whatever, it'll show some of the Gorgonites on the back.
Yeah.
And if you look, Troglakhan is actually his beat up changed form with the radio on the back of the box instead of what he actually looks like.
Well, that's funny. I need to look that up. I need to go back and look at that stuff.
I caught it. I went back and took a quick look, and yeah, it's pretty hilarious. So they've, they messed that up. I guess just putting out things to put out things.
Yeah, I have to say this movie has quite a lot of like the main character Alan takes a lot of injuries. Like he gets shot with like the corn cob things, the corn cob holders. He gets his hand cut open by Nick Nitro. I mean, he takes a lot of damage, but you see none of it.
Okay, so
also,
while we're on that subject real quick, so I just want to say that this movie could have very well have been a horror movie, and I probably would have liked it better if it was a horror movie.
I was getting a lot of Puppet Master vibes. Wow,
right? For those of you that don't know or that have never seen it, Puppet Master is probably one of the best horror movies of all time. I don't care what anybody says, you have to watch it at least once. At least the first 3. The other ones are questionable, but the first 3 are good.
I think you're wrong, but it's okay.
It's okay for you to be wrong. It's all right.
But I mean, it did definitely have and I think maybe if they hadn't changed, didn't have to change like part of the way through, because this got marketed. I don't know if you guys remember, but it got marketed to like Burger King in the Happy Meals. If they didn't have to like lean into that, I could easily see this getting pushed a little more into the horror genre for sure.
Well, yeah,
but I guess it's all the way to capitalize on that and capitalize on the mass market and like, okay, we're gonna market it to kids too, so make it more kid friendly in these areas.
So, by the way, just looked up a bunch of pictures from flight attendants in the 90s. She's a flight attendant.
Look up glitters in the 90s. Plus, she's not wearing any colors that denote any sort of airline, man. Green. Like, there's no airline. What airline is green?
Hold on, I'll tell you.
Irish Airways.
There you go. Irish Airways.
Out of Ohio.
Actually, Green Airlines was Robinson Airlines, Wright Airlines, and Oriental Airlines. 2 of those fly out of Ohio.
I don't think so.
Yep.
I think you're wrong.
Nope.
I think you're a liar.
Nope.
I think you're a liar. And that's okay.
Flight attendant.
So, did anybody keep track of how many really lame jokes that they ended up telling in this movie? Like, for instance, when Nick Nitro died, got thrown into the garbage disposal by our hero, Alan.
Quote, unquote.
Quote, unquote. And he... and Nick, was it Chip Hazard says, though his battery may have run out, his memory will keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, there were a lot of them. I mean, if you pay attention to Chip Hazard through the entire movie, he mixes metaphors from several prominent like war movie speeches.
Oh yeah,
and especially the one that's supposed to imitate the movie Patton, where he's in front of the jigsaw puzzle of the American flag.
Yeah.
He mixes that whole speech and like rearranges it and puts it all over the place, and it's hilarious. I was actually more taken by some of like Phil Hartman's lines in this movie. There's one particular one that is by far the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. they're sitting, him and his wife. This is when the Commando Elite are that they are getting ready to go kidnap Kirsten Dunst, and they're watching a World War II film, and he looks at her and goes, "I think World War II was my favorite war."
Yeah, and that was right
she's
before.
just like,
That was right before the Commando Elite straight up kill them with night medicine, with sleeping meds. I don't care what anyone says. You put 3 of them in a gin and tonic, they're dead. They're dead on the couch. They're dead. They stop breathing, choked on their own vomit. They're dead.
Well, I mean, I guess it would depend on the strength.
3.
I would think.
3.
I mean,
in single capsuled sleeping pills.
Well, I mean, I was okay. I don't think they're dead.
This was also before they set the teenage dude's pants on fire.
okay, we're skipping over a part here before we go any further. Okay. Well, Alan Abernathy threw the fit with Sherry O'Terry on the phone. Okay, he made the joke about the Energizer Bunny thing, but the part where they're in the decontamination chamber and they're discussing, the whole intelligence behind these things, and then he's just like, "Who would put munitions chips in a kid's toy?" Which, because again, that keeps coming up in the whole movie. My favorite, one of my favorite gags, and this movie has a lot of physical gags. And my favorite one is David Cross in the decontamination chamber.
Yeah.
When it just comes on and he's just like, he's
It's
like,
okay.
Erwin, it's supposed to do that.
It's clean.
It's clean.
Clean room.
It's fine. It's a clean room. That's what you do.
Yeah, he goes clean room, and then he like touches him and goes clean. And I was like, "That's good. That is a good one."
That is a good
And
one.
more evidence of Kirsten Dunst in the 90s. Her very 90s wireless handset phone
Oh yes.
with wires, and it's really strange. But
I want to talk about that ridiculous line that the kid who plays her boyfriend has, where he like tries to weasel his way into the house while her parents are asleep,
Yeah.
and his line to get in is, "You're a major hottie."
yeah, you're such a major hottie, and she's like, "Oh, you're so sweet." I'm like, I actually wrote it here. "Quote unquote, such a major hottie" was a compliment. Simpler times.
Oh yes. Back in the days when it was like, I only date older guys. Oh, that's fine, sweetheart. You go ahead and do that.
I was actually watching this with my wife, and I looked over at her and I said, "Would you consider it flirting if I said that you're a major hottie?" She goes, "Before we were dating, or before when we were dating, or now as my husband?" And I was like, "I'll take that as a no."
We're just gonna go ahead and chalk that up to probably not.
It's like, you know what? Don't bother. No, I'm not. It's not even. No.
I can get a unique perspective. Hold on a second. Hey, sweetheart. Would you consider it a compliment if I called you a major hottie?
Flirting. Would it consider
Or
flirting?
would you consider it flirting?
Flirting?
Yeah.
Not really, because we're married.
Well, I mean, like before that. Okay. Yeah. So yes.
Blaine, would you like to poll your wife and see if we can get a type?
Mine's cooking
we're-
Indian food, and I was like already in here. That's why I asked.
Working on it, but she's trying to get the dogs to stop playing. So that is
got it.
interrupted. Here, let me ask her. Hey, hon. Okay, while we were dating, if I would have said, "You're such a major hottie," would you consider that flirting, or would you find it flattering? She says yes.
Hey,
That's right. That's right.
It worked in the '90s. See, there
Yeah,
you go,
it did.
Well,
kids.
That's right.
Well, my wife did smile at me when she said it, so maybe it's a resounding yes, but I took it as no personally. But
Well, yeah. So '90s pickup lines still work, which means that we have officially reached that time where Sugar Ray is ironically cool again.
Yes.
Yes.
The halo hanging from the corner. I can't do that. We'll get in trouble.
Yeah, let's
let's
not talk about Mark
not.
McGrath. I'm pretty sure
Okay.
he would definitely copyright.
Continuing down things that are illegal, the VHS tape for the ransom was interesting.
Yeah, right. It was the fact that it was definitely like some Zodiac killer sign, like for
Yeah.
real, because it was just cut out letters from.
Well, here's my question: if they're so
magazine.
smart, why can't they write?
Exactly. Why'd they have to cut out?
But it's the whole ransom note thing. They understand that a ransom note you don't put in your own handwriting or you get caught. Now, it doesn't matter because they plan on getting caught anyway in a sense. But I just loved it because just the lines of the toys off screen are just great. Read it how we wrote it.
Yeah,
Read it how
right?
he wrote it. Or no, he says read it like you wrote it.
Yeah.
No, I thought he said read it how we wrote it.
No, he says read it like you wrote it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
Good.
Which is just as
my-
funny.
so my notes on the VHS tape, it says VHS tapes ... Now they just send ransom tapes through email.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well,
Now you just get hit up by Anonymous, and all of a sudden there's a Guy Fawkes mask in your face.
yep. So I didn't take a whole lot of notes through most of the fighting scenes of this because some of them, I mean, I didn't see any major issues with the fighting scenes and things like that because you could see the mixture of the animatronics and CG animation and things like that, and it's pretty seamless, surprisingly enough, for a movie, from 1998.
I definitely have a problem with some of the fighting scenes, mainly because we are to go ahead and consider fact that a bunch of toys full on set a tree on fire and then bring down an entire electrical pole, Transformers attached.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, what's wrong?
and they're just like, oh yeah, it's fine, it's cool because it's toys, and then I'm just sitting there like, hey, that's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, but munitions chips.
Yeah, but not artificial intelligence, but munitions chips.
Put those in toys. Come on.
Who put those in toys?
Who does that?
No, my only notes
Gremlins.
on that, I wrote it here in big letters. It says flying moped.
Yeah, that was
Nice.
definitely not on strings.
They were definitely not ziplining on a moped.
Yeah, no.
Zipline, shockabra.
Squeaker, squeak.
But no, they go full on Power Rangers and form their cars together. At one point, the commandos do, like their little things in that scene with the moped. They have all those vehicles that they've made in his garage, and at one point they link them together like Power Rangers vehicles and start chasing them down because they think with all the extra horsepower, I guess they have, that they can catch up to the moped.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're just like let's all get together and make it heavier, but we're all moving quickly as it is, keeping up with them, no problem. But let's just join together so we can catch up to them quicker. I don't get it.
Yeah. Hang on a second. I had that written somewhere, the Power Rangers thing. But something that I speaking of the fighting scenes, the one with all the Gwendy dolls is just chock full of like dad style jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're killing me, like as she's smashing them. And what was another one? Oh, I can't remember, man. Like but that whole scene is just jam packed with these things. And so and to be honest, the Commando Elite, they have those as well.
They do. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're just constantly. I think when Alan gets shot with the corn thing, the guy goes, "I'm planting corn," or something like that.
He does. He's Corn.
There's so many like low sound like background comments that are made in this movie, not just by, and again that goes back to the whole Gremlins thing because Gremlins did the same thing.
Yep.
There's so many off-camera jokes that were made, and it just seems like everybody has a commentary on everything. It's like they were doing their own MST3K to their own movie.
Gentlemen, we are hitting the 45-minute mark.
Okay.
Yeah, we're almost done here anyway.
Just keeping you updated where we're at.
Okay, so the whole thing with the moped, and he ends up at this toy store, the toy store that Alan was talking about, where they were taking all these, hundreds of toys that he got from Joe off the back of the truck, and so they're sending it all back because, oh, wouldn't you know it, you put munitions chips in a kid's toy, and so they're trying to recall them all before they go on the market. And Chip Hazard, of course, gets into the truck and gets them all out again. So that's wonderful. So everybody's turned up at the house. They're like, oh, well, we killed them all, yada, yada, yada. We're all in one place. We're not going to have anything else to worry about. But, of course, here it comes. All the toys, and they've all got, it never explains where they got all the crap to build all the other things that they've made now.
No.
But
Yeah, it just kind of shows up.
Yeah, but did you notice how many propane tanks there were on half the things that they had?
Yeah.
There were a lot. There were a lot of propane tanks.
It's like the art department had to go down to they're just like, let's just go down to the dump and pick up a bunch of stuff and solder it together and see what happens.
Seems like it. I'd also like to have a nice mention, again, in case you weren't aware that this was the 90s. Spice Girls was used as torture.
Psychological warfare.
Psychological warfare.
But honey, I love this song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
You're currently drunk and high.
Yeah. Yep. Just sleep it off, honey.
Yeah. And then, we do get to the end of the movie where money seems to fix everything. So Dennis Leary just kind of shows up and starts shoving money at people.
Wait.
You're skipping. We're skipping the huge battle at the end of the movie.
There are some issues
In that battle, yes.
Yes.
Huge issues. I agree.
I'll let you go, Blaine, because I have something that's just very specific.
Okay.
And I want to know if you had the same thought.
Okay, so I've got it written here with Mom needs to work on her backhand. She could probably do that if she wore people clothes. And not leprechaun outfits. They don't allow those kind of people into the country club anymore.
She could just stay off the plane.
Yep, whatever. And then, so Archer's looking out the window and he's talking about something. I don't remember what they were talking about. And he's just like, oh, look, they're all out there. He's like, oh, the window's open. Let's close the blinds so they can't see us. They know where you are. Okay, they already know where everybody is. Closing the blinds and leaving the window wide open isn't going to do anything to protect you.
That was not my issue, but I see your point.
Yep. Okay. What were your issues with that? This is everything up to before he drops the wrench.
Okay. So Alan and his dad are having this conversation in the kitchen. And I say conversation loosely because it's like 4 lines. And the only thing that I could keep thinking is why does it have to be Alan to climb up there? And he keeps saying, it has to be me, Dad. It has to be me. And at the same time, I'm like, your dad can physically walk up there. Like, he has no issues. He doesn't get injured until like a scene later. And I mean, Phil is still conscious, could probably climb up there and do it, and apparently has experience from a previous conversation of overloading the breaker so he can get a power boost.
I think it's
So-
more to do with him proving that he doesn't mess everything up. I think it's sort of like the whole hero redemption thing.
I think it's showing more teen angst on top of teen angst, and I think it's ridiculous. Like it would have taken like 1.5 scenes, you know what I mean, to make it apparent that he's the one that has to take care of it, and it's all. It wouldn't have taken much else. Like even just like a little thing of like, oh, I got my leg, you know, something small like that. Or have his dad want to do it and then get injured in the next scene and he has to go do it. But
I think it has more to do with he's the main character of the movie. So
but
yeah,
that doesn't alleviate the whole of like, you know, like Batman always sees himself that he needs to take care of it, and a lot of times he's the only one that can, but it's because of, you know, he knows these people or whatever else, or he's taken it upon himself or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like there's like a reason. And I mean, most movies give you a reason why the hero has to be the hero. And we get nothing. He's just been in it at the beginning, I guess.
Cause plot and cause mom wears a weird outfit.
And dad's angry.
And dad's mad. He's a mad dad. So my next note beyond that is nice. Way to drop the wrench, Alan.
Way to go, Alan.
In an effort to show that he doesn't always screw things up, he screws things
He
up.
screws it up.
Hooray!
Well, continuity.
And I also had one other thing that takes place after the dropping of the wrench. If we are to believe everything we're shown, then we know that the endoskeleton of the commandos and the Gorgonites is covered by a rubber shell and plastic, which would not conduct electricity. So technically, he shouldn't have been able to stick them on the transform and have it go off.
Semantics.
That is lots of it. This movie repeatedly, and I will say this in defiance of everything that anyone says, this movie repeatedly defies scientific principles. And at the same time says it's relying on science for its plot points. And it's like, this is not how that works.
Well, my next note down here says, toys and a lawnmower, love it. So
is that how you're defending that?
You know what? Yes, that is my argument. They used a riding lawnmower and just chopped up a bunch of toys, which I think should be its own YouTube channel.
That would be we should start it.
Well, first of all, it definitely would have never looked like that. I don't think that even mowers now are strong enough to keep doing all that and mess up your blades.
They do have a metal skeleton.
Yeah.
It just depends on what the metal is made of. If it's aluminum, it probably could do it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It never said that that she was able to still mow the lawn with it. She's just able to cut things up with it. You don't need a sharp blade to cut things up. You just need a lot of power, and you're good to go. And did you hear the suggested retail price on those?
$79.99.
I thought it was 59.
No, it's 79.
It's 79.
79. Okay.
Add a couple
was
zeros
79.
to that.
Yeah, add a couple zeros to that, and I know some people in the military that would love these things.
South America. He
South
says
America.
South
That's what it
America.
was.
Did he say like? Did he? He says something about militia in South America, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
like,
another problem.
he's an arms dealer.
Yeah.
Is
Yes.
weird. So
Never said he had government contracts. It just said they were military grade.
Yeah.
that's true. I guess he's like Tony Stark.
Yeah,
You know,
kinda.
he's got contracts with the military, but he doesn't necessarily have to. Like, he's not like beholden completely to the military. I don't know. I'm very confused.
It's all very confusing. But
Yes,
so okay,
it's a very confusing movie.
so
Audible friends.
the ending of the movie, it's whatever. They wanted to find Gorgon even though it doesn't exist, and he tried to make that.
I wrote that. I wrote they leave to find a place that literally does not exist. We
And-
know that Irwin made it up.
Yeah. And you know, and Alan's sitting there just like, yeah, I just want these creepy things out of my bedroom, you know, and I get it, but the very last line of the movie
I hope
was,
we hit an iceberg.
yeah, I hope we don't hit an iceberg. It's by, was it Slam Fist?
Slam fist.
Yes. So still one of my favorite lines. Absolutely love it. I am a huge fan of this movie. Even now.
You know, I do have one other small issue, real quick though. Like, Alan, again, just watches them ride off, and major issue of they're riding off to find a place that doesn't exist. But also, he's allowing these arguably dangerous military robots loose into the world. Just lets them loose.
Well, I mean, the Globotech guy is selling them to militias in South America, so, I mean, which one's worse?
This is true.
They're both really bad. Let's.
I mean,
Except
No,
the
no, no.
Gorgonites are the Gorgonites are peaceful though. They just
Yeah.
like to hide.
yeah, they just like to lose and hide.
So if the Terminator, who is arguably exactly what we're talking about, just on a larger scale, looked at you and said, "I just want to learn and find Narnia," and you let him ride off into the sunset, even though you've seen them destroy other robots, and you know that they have the capacity to learn how to do horrible, horrible things, you just let them free in the world.
Yep.
And
No.
so leads into the Puppet Master Part 7.
Yes. that's, that's how we got the Puppet Master series. Good series. Good series. People should watch it.
Okay, so let's do the wrap up here. Does anybody else have anything that needs to be discussed?
Anything major? I think we hit.
Dennis Leary has a lot of money to throw around and fix issues.
They're selling arms to militias in South America, so duh.
Yeah.
We can also presume he's rolling in cocaine as well.
Yeah, well, it is Dennis Leary, so.
There you go.
True. So, okay. How do we do the scoring on this? We do the
Pine trees.
out of 10 trees, right? The palm trees,
Palm
and
trees.
then we give the coconut for special mentions, and the golden coconut for the things that we think are worthy of it. Okay, so I'll go first. My rose tinted glasses rating for this is a 10 out of 10, which of course, it honestly it's still a 10 out of 10. Okay, I love this movie, continuity errors and everything, and put munitions chips in a kid's toy.
You put
Yeah.
munitions chips in a kid's toy?
Yeah. Regardless of how many times you heard that in the movie, still one of my favorite movies of all time. I think I give the coconut to Sherry O'Terry, who did so good. Although she didn't actually embody what it is to be a customer service person. She's all fake and smiling and everything, but it doesn't show her drop that immediately as soon as she gets off the phone. So, so not so good there. But the golden coconut I have to give to the voice actors of the Gorgonites, mainly Insaniac, who did his voice. Either of you had that?
Hold on. I did have it.
Insaniac. Michael McKean
There you go.
is his name. Michael
Yeah.
McKean.
I'm trying to remember which one he is from Spinal Tap.
Yeah, I'm bringing it up right now. Internet's having issues. Oh, yeah. He was in. He was Mr. Green from Clue.
Yes.
He's in A Mighty Wind, of course, all that other stuff. Fantastic actor. He's just amazing. So yeah, definitely kudos to him for that because I absolutely loved that one. So, Brant, you want to go next?
Sure. Rose-colored glasses. Looking back, I really liked the film, but I don't think I liked it as much as you guys did. I thought it was cool, but I don't know that I was as on board as you all were. So I want to say rose-colored. I was probably about an 8.5. But as an adult, there's a lot of these jokes that are subtle and just amazing. And I actually bumped my score up from the rose-colored glasses. I think this is a 10 for me now as an adult.
You've gone up.
Even all of the weird pseudo science nonsense that's in this film, this movie's hilarious. Like there are so many great things, and I think some even though I wasn't big on it when I was younger. It still, brings a lot of the nostalgia factor back in. You know what I mean? And I feel like that pumps it up for me. Special mention, Coconut. Definitely for Insaniac, the character. That is one of the most terrifying, creatures to be alive. Like he literally looks like something from Puppet Master. He really does.
Yeah.
And he spits like the freaking Tasmanian devil, and has a freaking flail that he fights with. I don't know. It's just crazy. Sure, that's the peaceful one. Okay.
Yeah.
And then of course I'm going to in a I don't know. For my golden coconut, just definitely for Phil Hartman, being Phil Hartman. You know what I mean? Just laying it on like he always did, and just amazing. Like it's a shame because if things hadn't happened the way they happened, we might still have Phil Hartman right now, and that's sad. So I want to give the golden coconut for that. So
that's fair. Yeah.
Okay. I'll go ahead and do mine. I think, rose tinted glasses there, definitely a 10. Loved this movie growing up. But as an adult, I hate to be that guy, but dropping it all the way down to a 6.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. I know, I hate to be that guy. So the only reason that I dropped it down to a 6 is because...
You don't sound like you hate being that guy.
Yeah, well, I work in collections, so I'm that guy all the time. Just serving up hate and misery to people. Yeah, got to give it a 6, and the only reason is because had this movie been a horror movie, I probably would have bumped the score up. Not because of my love for horror movies, but because this movie, had we just had one human death, would have been there. And I think special mention got to go to probably the corn the corn joke when he's shooting the corn on the cob holders, which that's terrifying in and of itself. To be stuck in the leg with corn cob holders. And then my golden coconut is gonna go to Tommy Lee Jones. I mean, you can't get much better as far as a commander than the voice right there. I mean, that's the man.
Yeah, man, it's hard to argue with that corn line. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's just
It's so good.
it's a great joke. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had never noticed it before, and when I watched it this time, I had to pause the movie. I was like, that is the dumbest and funniest thing I have ever heard in my life.
Oh, it's great.
Just one more thing before we go any further. I know where Brant, you mentioned this was, with Phil Hartman and everything. There are two versions of this film that are out there in the world. One of them involves Phil Hartman getting shot by one of the Commando Elite, and one of them does not. So the one that got released worldwide was the one where he did not get shot. It wasn't by an actual gun, but it was something along those lines, and of course they took it out as soon as that happened. With his whole and that's good. I actually found that out because Dad told me about that. So it was interesting. So, but I just wanted to make sure that we got that added in there because all three of us are huge Phil Hartman fans. And just the tragedy that happened with him was just it was a lot. Now that we're older and we're learning about this stuff from when we were kids. Yeah, we look at some of these things and realize, that would have been difficult. So
honestly, I do actually remember because what was that 90? What year was that 90? What year did this come out? I'm sorry.
98.
98. So I was 10 when all this happened, and I do actually have a memory of Dad watching it happen because it was broadcast nationally on television what was going on, and I do remember maybe not the exact details, but I do remember hearing about it on the TV and not knowing who it was because I was 10, but I do remember that.
So what exactly happened to Phil Hartman?
I believe it was his wife or girlfriend.
It was his. I looked this up because Robin didn't know what happened, so I looked it up. His wife shot him in his sleep and killed him.
Wow.
And then went and got a friend and showed the friend what had happened, and the friend called 911, and when they called 911, she ran into the bedroom, locked herself in there, and killed herself.
Wow.
And it showed, if I remember correctly, sleeping pills, cocaine. No, not sleeping pills. Like an anxiety pill, cocaine, and alcohol in her system.
Wow.
So she was whacked out of her mind when this happened. But yeah, it's a real tragedy. I mean, it's crazy. And again, I say, if that had not happened, we might still have. We probably would still have Phil Hartman bebopping around doing hilarious stuff like he was doing. So,
well, let me now that that's kind of out there, and we kind of have a platform to say some stuff about that. So if anybody out there is watching this and you're experiencing any sort of issues with drug addiction, or somebody who is, definitely reach out to some places. There is help out there, more than there was back in the day. There's a lot more places now than there were back then. So just kind of with that being mentioned in there, because crazy stuff happens when you're not in your right mind.
Yeah, and our church is connected with a couple of different places that are like that, and you shouldn't, if you are having issues, you shouldn't feel ashamed that you're having issues, because it's very prevalent. It's just you should realize, and you should realize that people aren't going to look down on you for asking for help, and it's important to know that it's okay to ask for that help.
Yep, and for anybody that's listening and, like they said, needs the extra help, the number for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. I know this is kind of a serious thing for guys that like to cut up and stuff, but it's something that we all take very seriously.
Yeah.
So, guys, we got anything else? I think that wraps it up for us.
It does.
For this episode.
Just going to let people know from a production side of things. Out of the three of us, I usually record and upload everything, do the editing and that sort of thing. So we are going to be active on YouTube. We're also going to be active on SoundCloud shortly. Once I kind of get the details done with that, we're also going to have a Twitter, a Facebook account. So if anybody wants to reach out with suggestions for our next group, we do have our first few ones kind of set out, but we're always looking for recommendations and comments, concerns, that sort of thing. We always love feedback. 3 people that are not opposed to feedback at all. So just reach out to us. Love to hear from you. But do you guys have anything else other than that?
The Facebook page is already set up. I haven't gotten it like completely finished, but it is up and running. And I'd like to go ahead and tell everybody at the end of this episode that our next one is going to be my pick, and that is Hudson Hawk, starring Bruce Willis. I love this film. I'm just going to say it right now. So...
But that's all we're going to get from that one, and that is all the time we have. We're at an hour and 11 minutes. So,
all right. Well, okay, that's it for us at the Ruby Shores. Thank you guys for coming out again. The 2 Power Rangers that failed their entrance exams, Brant and Brighton, and myself.
I'm the Chartreuse Ranger.
I want to be Aqua.
You guys are awful. All right. That'll do it for us. Thanks for listening. You've been listening to the Ruby Shores.
Have a good one.
Ah.